Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Talk About Baku podcast. Thank you so much for keeping up and following us, those emails that are coming in and giving us an idea as how to create new episodes, what type of subjects are interesting for you guys. And today we want to record this amazing episode 4 during the after working hours during Saturday, the last day of August. We had to do it. So don't be impressed when you hear a lot of traffic noises or beeps or cars that are passing by with a very loud music. However, that's our Baku, it's very loud. Thanks for that, or maybe not. So it's always vibrant before Saturdays and Sundays. And when I say before, guys, it's like, 10-20 years ago? People used to respect that, Saturdays and Sundays. But today, Baku is hustling day and night. It's not sleeping, barely getting any sleep, and people are always into some new projects and new things or new bands or you name it. It never stops. It truly lives to its cosmopolitan potential. That's all I can tell you. So today I will be your host. My name is Leila from Baku City, born and bred, and I come from diverse background. It started with advertising, marketing, and label representation in China for over 8 years. I would say between 8 and 10 years. Then tourism industry in Azerbaijan, including private and government. And finally, since 2021, for the last 3 years, I have been working in the GCC market, including multinational and multicultural experience, both in the government and private sectors of GCC market. Well, let's begin our episode today. Foodies that are looking forward to visit another destination, whether it be Baku or any other city in Azerbaijan. Well, generally Baku is associated with all types of awaited, advertised and promised adventures, and food is one of them always. If you have time, I would suggest to go to YouTube and check all those promotional videos about Baku. You will get a very nice cultural, traditional entertainment, music and dances and spots that are making the city very famous. But then again, always and almost always, there will be a short video or a short moment where you will be introduced to a cuisine. There will be flower color dishes on your table, all type of colors, everything. And I want to tell you that we have 4 types of menus, okay? So in this episode, I want to tell you why we have 4 seasonal menus, what's the point, how they were forming, and what's their impact in the culture as well. When it comes to Azerbaijan, typically, the reason we have 4 different menus, it changes as the vegetable and fruit table and the seasonality of those both are changing as well. So we don't have apples year round. That was the philosophy in the ancient times. So we have a fall season apples, of course, but they're not used that much as other fruits. Very typical to Azerbaijani region, whether it be north or south. And that has formed an appetite, a different appetite for different month even in Azerbaijan. Baku is particularly famous for its grapes, for its dolma, which is made out of grape and cabbage. But grape is preferably more ordered and more cooked inside the households in Baku city. And then we have Baku, which is famous for dry fruits, for lots of tomatoes that were growing in Baku. And mind me this, if you have been listening to previous episodes, we had a great episode where it was stressed out that Baku was not a first capital, and it was a village before the oil boom, which coincides with 1984. And then becoming a city was just another essential step. While money was flowing in, while oil was sold, the Noble brothers are establishing fabrics here, living spaces for the workers, and they're teaching locals how to, produce and reproduce and even recycle. At some point was a theme, but back then it wasn't called recycle. It was, you have to turn it into this chemically to be able to sell it to this and that vendors and export it to Russia. Anyway, so this whole thing made Baku and other cities around Azerbaijan have their own specifics, even, when it comes to seasonal menus. So one of the wonderful stories and then questions on the email that made me smile a little was people's confusion when they travel, or they heard, or it was a personal, one email said it was very personal when I realized I cannot order certain items because the staff in the restaurant try to explain that this is a winter menu. So of course we can do that. It will take 3 hours. But if you would order this during, November and December, it would be much better. Guys, don't take it seriously. It is a thing. But today, we have more food stations. And I'll tell you why I'm calling it food stations in Baku City. Then we have entertainment or coffee bars or any other type of entertainment that comes to your mind while you're listening to this. We have more restaurants, more food stations. Again, I really have to say that, which represent multiple countries, multiple dishes, multiple cultures, I would say. Which is considered as an entertainment. Then you have some spot, let's say there's a trend going on for Instagram photos, Instagram museum. We have that as well, but it's a very small area. It is considered as one-time entertainment per year for a person or influencer. You know what I mean? So when you're here, make sure just Google or just listen to this podcast and realize that in summer you have a variety of very nice dishes which are mostly mixed with veggies, such as tomatoes, potatoes, the cabbage is involved as well, lots of green stuff, lots of red stuff. So your table is basically, if you put the summer menu, in front of you in a restaurant, you will think like, okay, I'm looking at the carpet. So we know that whenever anyone travels, the second thing after discovering the sites and going to museums and everything, you really want to dig into the menu. I know myself, whenever I travel, for me, the second half of the first day is what's for lunch and what's for dinner, where I'm gonna go, what's the most famous place. I find myself Googling, looking through, Instagram, looking through TripAdvisor, the comments per restaurant that I found on the internet and things like that. It's very important. Not because we're picky, because somehow you deep inside we understand that, okay, if I'm gonna be confronted with a very small menu, that means that, the diet was not the center of a cultural experience or cultural development of this country. For me, as soon as I see variety of colors on my table, mostly accenting or concentrating on certain vegetables and fruits, for me, it's a sign of healthy understanding, healthy diet, and the culture, the human being that was concerned with what they ate. So, okay, I see a level of some sort of understanding and level of purity and taste. I don't know, but I would kind of form it this way. In Azerbaijan, you will see it. You will see lots of dishes. You go south, the menu changes a little bit. For example, south prefers more fish, more chicken, and bird type of a meal on the table. You go to north, it's more beef, it's more heavy, it's more liquid. and it's more adventurous for those who have a strong stomach. And then you go deep north west. The dishes get heavier because the mountains are higher, the environment is colder, it's much more different, and complexity of this entire section, let's say, of the country, makes it harder for a farmer or families that have been there, tribes that have been forming for centuries, to have access to certain things. So their understanding is honey will save you. Honey is the best natural ingredient against any type of virus or sickness. But then you go south and it loses its touch. So honey is considered as a part of your, dessert type of thing. But then they make accent on herbs, on tea, making tea from herbs. You go to east side, northern east. They prefer, again, natural herbs, but very specific ones that are specifically growing in the mountain area. And remember, when we come back to Azerbaijan, the menu itself that you see, it's not formed by one state or city, it's formed by tribes that had their own dialogue, which some of them still do. They speak in both languages, the national one language, which is Azerbaijani, and the other one, their own. They have their own alphabet that is saved for centuries of those tribes that were remaining and forming part of this amazing country. So you have multiple tribes coming together within 190 years, 150 to 190 years, forming a country. And with that, they were forming a menu. So today, you go any part of any city of Azerbaijan, you ask, have you heard, the south side, this and that city, they eat this. They know, and they even introduce their own version of how they would do it on their side, because the ingredients are limiting or not accessible or not even growing on their side. That's another thing, And then we have, of course, you have to understand, you might feel like when you're tasting the traditional Azerbaijan food in whatever city you are, if you start with Baku, fine, you will feel like you have been eating that before. Some of the dishes will remind you the eastern side, maybe some Asian dishes that you have tried before. You will still be right. You will still guess it right, because for centuries there were also external influences in Azerbaijani cuisine. For example, let's say there was a Persian influence, which came with rice, saffron, which is considered a national anthem in Baku city because it's growing in the Absheron Peninsula. But again, where did it come from? We have to agree at some point that saffron was part of the history, the meal and history of Persia. And then we have Turkic influence. The Turkic nomadic heritage brought in dishes centered around meat, dairy, bread, emphasizing hearty and satisfying flavors. And then we have Silk Road. Again, Silk Road that came east-west with east and west culinary influences. For example, spices, herbs, cooking techniques even. So that is also added to that menu that came onto our tables for forming around these influences as well. Of course, global influences also have marked their territory in Azerbaijan. Some of the dishes now today that were heavily cooked or had heavy fats are cooked very differently. Today it's around olive oil, sunflower oil, which is much more healthier version, of course, and appraised, by the way, by the society, because at some point before COVID there were already a fat shaming, I would say, but not like for human fat shaming, the fat shaming of the menu. Some of the menus started to be considered as unhealthy because the fat that was used, for example, natural fat of a beef or sheep or beef and sheep mostly, it was said that there's no way you can, fix your cardio after you had that much of a heavy meal. You have to detoxicate for 3 days for your body to adjust to a healthier version of yourself, So yes, the global influences are here. The global trends are absolutely in Baku. You see vegetarian cafe opening left and right. You see healthy versions of salad-based diet where you can just go inside and, it's like Subway. Just, choose your salads that are, I don't know, like 25 of them in front of you, minus the bread, because they don't serve bread. And you go and you just enjoy your salad, that you hand-picked yourself. You made your choice. You created your own salad. Then we have very nice cafeterias, the brands that are coming from the northern side, from Turkey. Recently, there's a lot of companies and restaurants and names coming from Turkey, which is also a good influence. Now we have like frozen yogurt that was very new 5 years ago for Baku, when I was traveling back and forth and living in foreign countries. Finding a frozen yogurt was a headache for me in Baku. People were actually confused when I asked it. And we're talking about between 2018 and 19 at some point. Now there's only one spot in the city that serves that, and I'm fine. For me to travel there just to get the frozen yogurt, perfect. And even the company that I spoke that manages it, the staff always complains that there's not a lot of people getting a lot out of it. Then we have Gelato, an Italian brand that is opening 3 stores in Baku, which is perfecto. It has to be here. And Baku has this very interesting, locals have very interesting thing to them, a zing, I would say, to them. They prefer not to travel long distance or hustle to get what they want. That's why when you see certain classical era buildings, you're like, it is like, I feel like I'm in Prague, or this looks like London. It does, and you're right feeling that, because we like the luxury, the travel, the world to be in a 5 minutes distance. That impatience to travel 8 hours to see something, you gotta have it here. And if you live in Baku as an expat for more than 8 years, you're already adapting to that, and you feel like, nah, I'm not gonna travel like that long. I don't want to go to Turkey to taste the Turkish food. Let's see what they have in here. So if you have that attitude, or you think you're gonna have that attitude, or you think it's not an attitude, it is an attitude in Baku. Everything within 5 minutes distance, or everything in one space, in one place, and it has to be in my city, within my zip code. It's a very interesting future of the locals, and I picked it up as well. But still, like the adventurous spirit of me would rather travel 18 hours to see very specific places and specific food and specific people. But mostly the general attitude is, give me something and give it to me now. Well, we covered that one as well. Let's see some iconic list of iconic Azerbaijani dishes. And let me see if we still have time. We have time. So some iconic ones will be Pite, very heavy dish but very healthy one. It's a hearty stew cooked in a clay pot, very small per person. So it's I would say medium-sized dish, eaten during late November and December and January. Dolma stuffed with grape leaves. Variety of fillings. We even have as we say, fake dolma, the green one with no meat, but it's rarely served. Unfortunately, it's rarely served. It's not a eat item in the menu of the restaurants. You can ask for the grape one, which grape dolma with grape leaves, but then they have cabbage, also nice. Kebabs, of course, all around the world you have that. In Baku, you will have much less spices on them, because we prefer to taste the food, as they say here, with an almost Italian attitude. Like it has its own taste. So maximum what you're gonna see from the spices will be, I don't know, maybe a little bit curry, maybe a little bit black pepper and things like that. By the way, when it comes to spices, we're not good at it. I mean, most certainly not the locals. It took 8 years for Chinese restaurants to actually be successful, Korean BBQ to be successful in Baku City. Because locals, they don't eat red pepper, and they don't feel like it's impossible. It was never part of the diet throughout the centuries. So red pepper, that much in your meal, it was not a good night for those that tried it as, extreme entertainment for themselves. And then we have gutab. Gutab is savory pancakes filled with herbs, with cheese, with meat, you name it. Meat, it's a beef meat most of the time. I would say 100% of the time. It's not served with chicken. Don't ask gutab with chicken. We don't want to be embarrassed in the middle of the restaurant, or people being very shocked that you ask that. And don't be offended. It's just part of the adventure to make people laugh, or them making you laugh. Baklava, well, you have it in Turkey. Maybe some restaurants in Tbilisi will serve you that. We have our own baklava or sweet menu. But these days it's not preferred due to the very heaviness of those desserts. Like it's more than 1,000 calories per piece. The piece will vary between 80 grams and 120 grams. Then, well, when it comes to, and I really have to touch that subject here as well, when it comes to variety of people that are not into anything traditional. They have their own diet, they prefer their own fusion, or let's say a certain type of food. If you want to have that experience, you're not looking into traditional, or you have done this, you covered that off of your list, and now you want to see what else, go to Targova. It's a central streets of Baku City, most heaviest city, filled with people, at some point even more than, I don't know, 1/4 of New York or Dubai, in summer nights. A lot of people, that's what I want to say. But there's one particular place, in my opinion, that gives me that amazing feeling that I'm in somewhere out of space. I'm no longer in Baku, and the menu is amazing. You will get, they have in-house chefs that are making in-house mozzarella and any type of other Italian cheese that comes to your mind, and you can absolutely get them. And the vegetables are hand-picked from certain farmers, as the manager told me several months ago when I was hosting a big delegation in that restaurant. And it's called Syrovarna. The name of the restaurant is Syrovarna, and it's I would say a very special place to have dinner. It has a very nice selection of dry wines, whether it be white or red. It has international selection of wines. So sometimes for date night or for a night out with yourself even, that is a place in Baku that escapes Baku, I would say. You're in a total different zone. You're in a total different world. The stuff is very delicate. They're very much, their poster, like the way they stand and speak to you, it gives away so much class. And that's my favorite place. That's my secret place even. It's amazing. And the exterior of this place, the design of the walls, some of the paintings are giving you the vibes of the history of Azerbaijan, the art deco situation, which it's like entering 4 different seasons in a year. You have the green palette, then you enter, it's a little bit orange, then you have a smoking area, non-smoking area, and then the kitchen is almost open to the public, so you have like a transparent wall that separates you from those people that are working, smiling, joking while the food is prepared. So you're not only getting a really nice piece of food, you're also getting a positive vibe and energy on top of it, because people kind of have their own I would say jazz inside their kitchen, and you can just sit and just watch them from your table. There are several tables that are available just for that entertainment, you know what I mean? So I would kind of go there. I would very much suggest you go there. I cannot name names under this episode due to some let's say legal stuff, but it's not an advertisement, by the way. It's my personal choice every time I want to escape myself. And for Asian food, if you wanted to, recently there has been a great launch of a new Chinese restaurant in the city, in Baku. It's called the Noodle House. Oh, that's piece of China in Baku. They made it. They finally made it. I took there several friends. I took there several family members. I took there I was there with my spouse. We enjoy it so much. The menu is 1000% authentic Chinese. It tastes Chinese. The ingredients are shipped from Asia. Everything, every piece that you have there, not local food. They ship it specifically for that menu. And if you ask about the prices, you'll get even lower prices than you would get in any other Chinese restaurant in Europe. I mean, trust me, believe me, I tried. So it's mid-range prices. It's not expensive. It's not lavish restaurant. It's just a restaurant called Noodle House. But it has a noodle menu, but it has more authentic menu. You can get a Beijing duck. You can get, I don't know, my favorite piece from the menu is mapo tofu. It's made out of tofu. Everything made out of tofu is my favorite. So whether it be ultra spicy, I don't care. I lived in China for 10 years. So just to remind myself that I can still travel to China, but from Baku, and it will take me 25 minutes in the car. As I said, that attitude, it gets to you, and you're like, I should have the luxury to go to China, in Baku. I should have that luxury. So yeah, there you have it, folks. You can even have a feel of Dubai or Morocco in Baku. Moroccan houses, those lavish ones, expensive ones. Just go to a certain area, the beach side of Caspian Sea. The things that you will see there will make you feel like you're in Morocco. What the hell is going on? Like, it is true. It is happening. It already happened. So you can be transferred into multiple different realities within one small city. So yeah, I think we covered all the necessary things. If you're very much into the food, you love it, you want to try it, or whether you have your own diet or your own preferences, you're not into traditional food, Baku will cover you. Believe me, like, the city wants to satisfy every possible customer there is in the world, and the efforts are extremely strong to kind of achieve that. So be our guest. Make sure to send questions if you still have them about the food. So, and yeah, share your stories. I love to read them. I mean, some of them are already my favorite during summer. All right, folks, it's the last day of summer. Hopefully you had a wonderful summer, whether it be at work, on a vacay, or like being involved in some projects or passion project that you manage. Make sure that you remember it. I do have a feeling that after COVID, finally we started to appreciate our lives more. Our efforts finally are appreciated by us in the first place, and we finally understood that there is a value, time value of ourselves, our efforts, our energy. So let's keep that. Let's keep that feeling and prolong that feeling as much as we can before we are, indulged into artificial intelligence era. It's coming. It's already stepping on our toes, but let's keep that interesting with human element. Yeah, that sparkle, the human sparkle. All right, have a great weekend ahead. We will be recording new episodes. The questions and subjects are already coming in. People are asking for specific episodes, specific topics that we have to cover. So we will expand, and thank you so much for keeping in touch. All right then. See you next time.